The first thing I want to talk about is a universal constant, and that universal constant is that easy come, easy go. That is something that you've heard said thousands of times for a reason. And crypto is the easiest come money, which is why you see all these people on the internet talking about how they lost it all. It's amazing how the human heart is infected with a permanent and never-ending greed. Doesn't matter how much you have, you're greedy. This built the modern world. No matter how many skyscrapers were built, someone wanted to build a bigger one. No matter how much land was conquered, somebody wanted to discover more land. It built the modern world. But we're now in a position where nobody is building anything. We are simply being as greedy as possible in a minus sum game. This is a minus sum game, actually, because there's a whole bunch of fees involved for the platform. So I put in $1, you put in $1, one person walks away with $1.80, the platform gets 20 cents, and another guy walks away with 0. So it's a minus sum game that this whole crypto world's become. And a lot of this is based on the fact that real work doesn't pay anymore. When I talk about when I was younger, there was no way anyone got rich. This is true. The world was a very different place. The idea of how to make $1 million in the year 2002 was very different than now. But it was impossible for me to make money in 2002 without making other people around me rich and enriching the society at large. If I started a business, let's say I sold sofas, I had to get a shop front, which means I had to pay rent to the shop front owner who could afford to feed his family. Then I would have to get stock, which means that not only am I paying the person who manufactures the sofas and his large factory and all the people who work there and their families, and by extension, all of the houses built around that factory, and the schools for the children of the people who work in that factory, and the hospitals for the factory workers. All of this is infrastructure which is built primarily because I am a cog in a machine which is selling sofas somewhere in the world. I have to buy the stock. The delivery driver has to bring the stock. That's another man on a truck who has to earn some money. Then he brings the stock to me. I have staff who work for me. They have families. By the time I've made $1 million, I may have generated $10 million and operated at a 10% margin. But lots of people ate and were paid. Lots of money was made for the benefit of society. Buildings were built. Hospitals were built. Schools were built. Real things existed. With crypto, none of that happens. If I make $1 million in crypto, nobody gets rich but me. You'd have to be on time and diligent and organized to keep your store open and clean and functioning. You would learn things. So by the time you became rich, all of a sudden, you have all these other skill sets. And these other skill sets translate. What did I say? The best way to make it at something is to make it somewhere else. If you can sell Doris a brand new sofa that she doesn't need for 3 G's, you can probably convince Doris to come back to your penthouse to take her clothes off. You'll get good at girls by getting good at selling sofas. Now you're rich from selling sofas. You know how to sell, and you can get any girl you want. If you make money in crypto, you haven't learned a thing. I'm not top G because I have money. Everyone has money now. Everyone's rich. Everyone has a Lambo. Everyone has an AP. I'm top G because I'm unafraid and I'm brave and I speak well and I'm smart and I'm insightful and I'm charismatic. All of this was learned by making money the hard way. I've done a lot of videos on crypto and I've talked about crypto at length many different times. And I've said that money amplifies who you are. If you're a loser and you get rich, you're a bigger loser. If you're a G and you get rich, you're the top G. I've talked about this at length. I've explained that if you see a little dork with glasses on getting out of a Lamborghini, you assume he's a mega dork. And if you see a big, strong, scary looking man getting out of a Lamborghini, you assume he's a killer or a crime boss. The Lamborghini doesn't change who he is, it only amplifies, and money's exactly the same. And they're gonna fuck up the life of everyone around them. They're gonna end up fucking up the life with the girl who actually cares about them. They're gonna end up in dangerous scenarios, dangerous situations. They're a robbery fucking target. All of this is bad, bad, bad news. It's like giving a Ferrari to someone who doesn't know how to drive. You need to learn how to drive first. And my brand for the longest time had nothing to do with crypto. I jumped into crypto for the lulz because it was funny, because I was on fucking house arrest and it was funny. My brand has always ever been telling you guys at home the truth. And the truth about life is that there is no easy way out. There is no shortcut home. It's rocky. It's round 10. It's a slugfest. It's broken eye sockets and it's swinging. That's all life is ever going to be at the top. Even with money, it's the same. For me, it's still jail. It's still court. It's still international warrants. It's still problems. I can only deal with them because of my poor man lessons. if you feel FOMO for yesterday. And many people who have made money still feel FOMO because they don't feel like they've made enough. Self-analyze if you truly believe you deserve that money. 1. 2, find a positive direction for all of those emotions. And 3, prepare to make sure you don't miss out on the next opportunity. And the best way to do that is to become as successful as possible. The final lesson. You need to self-analyze and self-reflect in all realms to make sure that you're not on the wrong path. If you do not change the direction in which you are heading, you're going to end up exactly where you are headed. I told you to go south to escape the forest. You are walking west. If you continue to walk west, you will end up in the wrong place. So to self-analyze, I want you to genuinely think across the coming weeks. If you are conflating the stress and pain of losing money and praying to find a pump or a shiny object with the actual tasks of work, because they are different things. I'm going to be free this year, and the whole world is going to change. Daddy will go to the moon. It's true. But if you don't work now to buy Daddy, it ain't gonna help. I'm gonna be having extremely large events with the War Room globally. It's true. But if you're not in the War Room, we have new campuses and the possibility to do 7-figure mergers with extremely well-known brands inside of the real world. If you want to be good at something that you don't seem to be that particularly good at, then you need to identify, well, what am I good at? Let me focus on that. And then you can hire the right people around you to do the things that you're not so good at. So you spend all of your time only doing the thing you're a specialist in, which increases the value of your time so you make as much money as possible. Conor McGregor was a good fighter, so he focused on fighting. When he wanted to launch a whiskey brand, he then uses the money and notoriety he had obtained from the only thing he is good at and hired people to deal with distilleries, to deal with starting an international alcohol brand, to deal with distribution. Imagine instead he said, I want to do a whiskey brand all myself, and wanted to build his own distillery, make his own whiskey, and drive it around in trucks trying to deliver it to fucking pubs. You don't get rich that way ever. So if there's anything else in the world that you're better at than losing money in the fucking trenches, and if you were actually to do a P&L in your life, you'd probably realize you've made more money doing other things than you've ever made in crypto. Then what you should be doing is doubling down on that thing, making as much money as possible, and finding someone else to do that shit for you. You should only spend your time doing what you are good at. This is an extremely important concept not many of you understand. You may ask yourself, well, how do I then find people who I can trust to do the other things that I can't do? People are making money now so easily, they're losing scope of what money is. And I grew up in the real world. I grew up in a world where 10 grand got someone killed. 10 grand was a hit. You pay someone 10 grand, you can get someone stabbed in London. Crypto's got it all messed up to the point now where people think 10 grand is absolutely nothing. And yeah, inflation's ravaged our community. Yes, 10 grand will not get you the Instagram lifestyle to get those girls who only want to gold dig you, because women just chase cash all day long now. We can talk about the sexual marketplace and how females have all effectively to some degree become prostitutes because all they want to do is chase money. That's another conversation. But if I told you to put crypto away, go make 10 grand, you'd sit there flabbergasted. No crypto, make 10 grand. You'd sit there and go, well, what can I do? If you went out there into the wide world and had to walk up to people and say, will you pay me 10 grand to do this? You'll be surprised how you'll often have to give up months of your life for that money. So 10 grand is real money. But if you work for it, you're gonna appreciate it. If you get it easy, you're gonna lose it easy. And that's what you see all over Twitter all the time. Another thing that's very important for you to understand before you play this crypto game, because there is huge amounts of FOMO in the air tonight and yesterday. I suffered it from it myself when I saw the Trump coin. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be converted. So that FOMO that you feel, that negative emotion that you feel, that sadness that you feel, that inability to sleep, that anxiousness, that nervousness, that should have you in the gym training harder than you've ever trained. But instead, what it has you doing is scrolling up and down Twitter, refreshing the page, hoping that's going to somehow turn back time, which is a mistake. If God decided you didn't need to catch that pump right now, then his plan for you is for you to dedicate yourself and rain dance until you eventually catch the pump when you deserve it. You know, I wasn't even rich till I was 27. And I think back and I thank God I wasn't rich when I was young. Because if I got rich before 27, I wouldn't be strong like I am now, and that's worth more than being rich. And I wouldn't be able to fight like I can now, and that's worth more than being rich. And I wouldn't have the lessons that I say to you on all these emergency meetings, and that's worth more than being rich. And I wouldn't have learned how to get bitches broke, and that's worth more than being rich. You do not get to wake up and scroll Twitter and make millions and be happy and smile. And the ones who do are not gonna end up happier than you. You have to wake up, realize life is shit, do the right thing even though you don't feel like doing it, dedicate yourself, knuckle down, grind out brutal, terrible, hard labor. And you need to have your soul and body coarsened by the monotonous grind. And if you do it the way you're supposed to do it, the lessons you will learn along the way makes money worth having. Rain dancing is a very simple concept you need to put and ingrain inside of your mind. If you want it to rain and you're sitting waiting for the rain to fall for your crops to grow and you do nothing, you have less chance of it raining than if you rain dance. Now, I know that rain dancing in and of itself, to dance around and make some noises, doesn't affect the clouds, but it shows God that you're prepared to work for what you want. And you'd be surprised how lucky you get if you're prepared to work for what you want. Perhaps another tribe far in the distance will hear your rain dance, understand you need water, and bring you some, and now your problem is solved. You would be suffering the drought if you did not rain dance. This is how life works. Always has, always will. But the only way you can get yourself into this subsect is to join the real world and dedicate yourself in work, which is to grind out the hard way so you can learn all the lessons that I learned when I was grinding out the hard way, which ties into all the things I was saying earlier. And if you want to grind out the hard way and be successful and have a high power level, if you want to make it outside of crypto so you can make it inside of crypto, you need to amplify your time and make it as valuable as possible by doing the one thing you're actually good at, as opposed to try to do everything, as we've just previously described and explained. I want to give you all as many tips and tricks as I can for you to be successful if you're going to play this game. I can sit and tell you not to play the game, but that would be disingenuous, because to be honest, some people can win. So what I want to make you understand is the game you are playing and give you the best possible chance of winning it, because it is a minus-sum game. You must understand this. By nature, that means more of you are going to lose than are going to win. This is built into the parameters of the game you are playing. This is coded. When you see these P&Ls, you see people winning. You have to understand that for every person who wins big, often hundreds, sometimes thousands had to lose. This is something you have to keep in mind. And you want to put yourself on the correct side of that equation. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing you have to do is make sure you do not fall into the devastating conflation that I previously described. I mess around with meme coins. The majority of my wealth is Bitcoin and ETH. Boring. Why is it boring? Because I have huge pools. So why do I need to risk? I can play for the adrenaline. I can play for the fun. I can flip the coins. I don't need it to pull off. A lot of the young people aren't interested in these because they don't have enough money to get into them. I've once again told you how important it is. You finally understand you need to get some money before the wealth divide is cemented into humanity and you never stand a chance of escaping. I've explained that at length many times on previous emergency meetings. But the best way for you to make it in crypto is to make it outside of crypto. And this applies to anything in life. You have to amplify your strengths. Amplify what you're good at, because that allows you to do other things. The easiest way to make it with girls is to make it outside of girls. You want to make it with girls and you're running around talking to girls all day. You're never going to be as successful as if you make it outside of girls. Get your fitness right, get some muscles, get some status, get rich, get a big house, get famous, get smart, get funny, get charismatic. Now, if you become a specialist in something, your time is amplified. Your time now has a higher value. If you're a doctor, your time is worth more than if you're a cleaner. Why? Not everybody is a doctor. Anyone can clean. That's pretty simple. With money, it can also come down to how much you know and how well you know how to amplify your money. It's true. But to a degree, you need a specialization. And we're going to talk about this now. We're talking about how to get good at something by being good at something else. So I just described that concept. I want to describe it to you in another way. Korea, I know, strange tangent. Hear me out. Korea in the 1950s and 40s had the same GDP per capita as Yemen. It was one of the poorest countries in the world. The forgotten war. After World War II, there was a war in Korea. Nobody talks about it. America, who was sponsoring the democratic forces and wanted to try and stop the spread of communism, sent American troops to Korea to fight on the side of the Democrats, and the Russians supported the communists. So it was communists versus capitalists and Democrats. It was a very interesting war. In fact, the whole peninsula of Korea fell into both hands back and forth. And that's why to this day you have North and South Korea. The war never officially ended. A ceasefire was drawn and a line was drawn through the middle of Korea. Most of you don't know about this war. Nobody does. That's why it's called the Forgotten War. But it was capitalism versus communism. If you're going to play a coin flip game, you need as many coins as possible. If I said you need to get 10 heads in a row to become a millionaire, and you only have 10 coins, what's your chances? Low. If you have 1,000,000 coins, what's your chances? Much higher. You need to have ammo. So if you're going to play this game, if you want to be in the trenches, if you want to gamble, if you want to play minus some games, you need to be more focused on doing things outside of these games. I've analyzed something which has given me a quite sobering conclusion. When I scroll up and down Twitter and I see all these crypto people, I don't see that many success stories from people who purely started with $100, made some crypto money, and kept just aping in and getting it right and getting up to millions. A few have done that, yes, but most don't. The people I know who are successful from crypto are successful in things outside of crypto, and they take a gamble, they win. Take another gamble, they lose. Take another gamble, they lose. Take another gamble, they win. So what crypto is good for doing is turning your money into more money. But you have to be careful that you are not falling in the trap of using up your time and not turning it into money. You can only make money one of two ways. You trade your time for it or you trade your money for it. If you are broke, you have more time than money, so you give up your time for money. If you're rich, you have more money than time, so you give up your money for money. But in the crypto world, trying to turn your time into money is a devastating trap. What you should be doing is using that time to make money and then turn that money into more money via crypto. This puts you in a stable position where a crypto loss is not devastating because you have an income, primarily. It also allows you to take more coin flips, which is important because it increases your chances of success. You're gonna win if you just turn up looking good, confident, well-spoken, built well. All of that happens in the gym and practice at home. That doesn't happen in business. So if you're sitting at home saying, how do I make it in crypto? In this crazy, unprecedented, brand new, hyper quick, ultra competitive PvP minus some game, I would say the best chance you have is to make it outside of crypto first. Get your energy levels up, get your brain sharp, train hard in the gym, open up a real business, make some real money outside of crypto, get a good network, get some good friends, build a life for yourself you're happy with. Now you can take risks in the crypto world, but that all takes real work. Trenching isn't work. Trenching is cope. Trenching is funny. It's trolling. It's ha ha ha. It's interesting. It's entertaining, but so is a roulette wheel. That's not work. So a lot of you are forgetting when you see these shiny objects and this glorious FOMO with things like the Trump pump, that the best way for you to ever be successful on something like the Trump pump would just to be the kind of man who has enough money sitting around that once he knows it's legit, he could throw a few M at it and catch a 2X. Anyone could have done that. Nice and easy. A lot of you are coming to me saying, Andrew, I want to make a crypto. I need to make money now. I need to make money now. I'm like, what else are you doing besides crypto? Oh, yeah, nothing. So what, you just want to spunk your savings? So let's actually analyze the crypto market for a second. This is interesting. It's a little thought experiment I had. Crypto's PvP, right? So we have one person versus one person. It's cutthroat. If a coin gets big enough, it doesn't feel as personal because it's no longer 1v1. It's armies versus armies. And an individual death is a tragedy, but millions of deaths are simply a statistic and nobody cares. If I say to you a little girl called Mary died today, she was 3, she fell out of a tree, you'll be sad. If I say that 10,000 little 3-year-olds were blown up in Gaza, you don't care. Of course, the tragedy is much larger, but it becomes statistical and it no longer becomes personalized in your mind, so you don't give a shit. So if a coin gets big enough, all the people inside each coin, 1v1, perhaps it doesn't feel so personal. But how can you remove the PvP element from something like meme coins? We've entered a new paradigm when it comes to things like financing, the access to money, how quickly it can be made, how quickly it can be spent and reinvested. The speed at which money is moving now is unprecedented. And although I'm only 38 years old, I want you to understand that 10, 15 years ago, when I was in my 20s, none of this existed. You weren't a streamer, streaming didn't exist, YouTube didn't exist. There was no such thing as crypto, that didn't exist. None of these things did. People were out in the world working jobs, real jobs, like the memes you make all day long with the McDonald's hat. And people would work jobs all day long for their money, and then they would spend their money out in the real world, in bars or clubs or doing activities or spending time with their friends, etc. We have all fully plugged into this internet lifestyle now. We call it locking in. And I want to explain exactly what's happening here because there's a very important yet devastating conflation that many of you are allowing yourselves to fall for, and it's going to damage you in the long run.